Hi, I'm Mr. Kangas, and today we're going to talk about Chapter 4, Section 2. Specifically, we're going to talk about finding the prime factorization of monomials. In the previous video, we discussed what primes and composites were, and we discussed how to find the prime factorization of regular numbers, or in other words, constants. Today we're going to talk about how to find the prime factorization of numbers such as 27 a squared b. This is a monomial. With monomials, you're going to notice something that a recurring theme. We always do it in two parts. We work with the numbers first and then the variables second. You kind of view them almost separately. The first thing you're going to do is find the prime factorization of 27. The number, the constant. I know that 9 times 3 is 27. One of my branches is ended, so I know that 3 is part of my prime factorization at this point. I can then further break down 9 into 3 times 3. All of my branches have ended. I have prime numbers at the end of every one. And so I now have my prime factorization of 27, which is 3 times 3 times 3. Just as a refresher, in case you didn't see the previous video, when you're finding prime factorization of a number, you need to use a factor tree. So instead of writing out 3 times 3 times 3, I'm going to condense that and write 3 to the third power. This means the same thing as 3 times 3 times 3. So this is part of our answer. The 3 to the third power is part of our answer. That's the prime factorization of 27. At this point, you are looking to find common factors. You're looking to find factors of a squared and b. Well, what do you multiply to get a squared? Well, you multiply a times a. What do you multiply to get to b? B times 1. Or just b. So the prime factorization of 27 times a squared times b is 3 to the third power times a times a times b. The reason why we have a times a here is because you can't break a squared down into its prime factorization because we don't know what the variable a represents. What we can do is break a squared down into its factorization. We can break it down into a set of factors. We know that a times a gets you to a squared. So we wrote out the factorization of a squared. Another way to look at it is if you input some numbers. If I have 8 squared, I know that 8 times 8 is 8 squared, gets me to 8 squared. It's important to remember what a factor is. When I have 3 times 4 equals 12, 3 and 4 are considered factors. They're the factors of 12. They're two numbers that multiply together to get you to 12. So a times a gets me a squared. So a times a, or a and a, are factors of a squared. So when you factor a squared, it becomes a times a. We'll do one more example. We'll try. We'll go 14 b cubed. So we're going to find the prime factorization of 14. I know that 7 times 2 is 14. Both 7 and 2 are prime numbers, so this is a short factor tree. We already have our answer. The prime factorization of 14 is 7 times 2. What are the factors of b to the third power? What do you multiply together to get to b to the third power? Well, you would have to multiply b times b times b. So the prime factorization of 14b cubed, or b to the third power, is 7 times 2, the prime factorization of 14, times b times b times b, the factors of b to the third power. B to the third power literally means you're multiplying 3 b's together. Just like 5 to the third power means you're multiplying 3 5's together. And that ends the videos on Chapter 4, Section 2, Prime Factorization.